Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kickoff Culture, podcasting the beautiful game. And of course, I'm not alone. I'm with my partner in crime. I'm Mpeti enjoy your game. Silas Maputla with the black there. The black at the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Aye, it's another day.
Yeah.
Special guest,
Yeah.
but nervous.
Pioneer.
I
think we don't give him his flowers enough, eh?
One of the best, if not the best, in South Africa.
We don't give him his flowers enough.
You guys will see what it is, and then we talk about it. I think people understand why I say, if not the best, is one of the best in South Africa.
That's true. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you, Coach FAROUK. I mean, I think we should call him Chef Coach FAROUK. You've been cooking these players, Coach. You've been cooking these players.
No, guys, thank you. I'm humbled and welcome to the atrium.
Yeah,
I hope you guys
beautiful, beautiful. I think this is an empire that you built here, Coach. You know, from where you started. I mean, I live down the road from where you live.
Yes.
I live in St. Elmo, so I've seen your growth. I've seen the clubhouse since it was, and I saw the picture there, 2003.
Yes.
Couldn't even remember the year. And then they had like a picture outside there, and then you had your Mambush, you had all these players, and I was still a small boy, and I used to be the ball boy while you guys were training in the Brixton ground.
Okay.
I used to stand behind the pools with my friends, catching balls, giving you the balls. So it's phenomenal for me to grow, and then to see you making an impact in South African football, producing and all that. I mean, what a beautiful journey. So, Coach, tell me, how did it all start?
Sure. I tell you, it's going to give away my age, but it started many years ago. And, when you have a passion for the game, I played the game very early in my career. I sustained a bad cruciate injury. And at the club that I was, Dynamos, I asked them, look, can I work with the youth in the interim? I said, fine. And I just fell in love with coaching youngsters to see how they grow and to see the satisfaction you gain when you see a kid that has the potential, but all he needs is guidance. All he needs is somebody who can mentor him, not just as a coach, but as a father figure, as a brother, as somebody. Because in most cases, these kids come from very challenging backgrounds. So that for me was a calling, I think. And then eventually I said to the owners of the club, please, man, send me to Brazil, because I fell in love with Brazilian football in the 70s with Pelé and the likes of it. It just was so pleasing to watch a team, play a brand of football that was so easy on the eye. It was something that was captivating. And they said, hey, boss, it's very expensive. But there's a gentleman in Soweto. His name is Ted Dumitru. We can send you to him. And, Ted had just finished coaching Kaizer Chiefs at the time. And I went there all ready to learn because there was hardly much material. Today, you guys are fortunate to go on the internet, you get coaching stuff, although I'm not one who will encourage that too much because the cut and paste coaching is not what youth coaching is about. But in any event, at least there's information that you could utilize in your coaching. And when I got to Ted, he was very welcoming. I mean, this man for me, I think, had changed so many lives when it came to football, education, not just coaching-wise. And he was ahead of his time. Things that I see today, he discussed with us 20, 25 years ago.
Jeez.
And, today we talk about a system, people posting about formations. He said one day there will be a formation called the 5-5 formation. Now, currently, if you look at the game, it is a 5-5 formation.
Interesting, coach.
Offensive, defensive. So this man revelated that this was going to happen more than 20 years ago. So I got there, and in this classroom at the old Orlando Stadium, not the new one, we sat in that little brick house on very hard wooden benches, but we didn't mind because this man was just, it was just music to our ears, what he was talking about football, about development of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Also somebody that was a great admirer of the Brazilian football. Because remember, the Brazilian football was a school for the world of football. The Dutch would then reinvented the game, used a lot of methodology that was originated in Brazil. The element of zonal defending, the Brazilians were the first to do that. They were the first to say that, listen, we cannot mark man to man because a skillful player will minus you in the game. So now we mark the zone and we just press the player in the zone, which then affords us the opportunity not to be exposed defensively. And there was many other innovations. And later on in life, I then wrote to the Brazilian Football Federation and asked for an opportunity to go study. And they said, look, it's possible. And I took this invitation back to Ted. He then went to Chibuku. Chibuku was a sponsor. It's a beer company, Chibuku Beer. And they said, okay, we're going to sponsor 3 guys. So Mike Ntombela, James Mabena, the late James. And they had a a coach who was at Wits, I forgot his name now, he's in America. John Layton, yes. And they wanted to send John Layton, and Ted said, no ways, FAROUK must go. And the sponsor said, no, but they were involved with Wits now. Wits was where Layton worked. And this project that Ted was running was in conjunction with the university.
Okay.
And they were insisting, and Ted said, no ways. He had a meeting for half a day. Eventually, he convinced them to say FAROUK will go. So eventually, Layton was put aside. FAROUK took his place. So it was James Mabena, Mike Ntombela, FAROUK Khan, and another gentleman on his own team, Junaid Mall, came along. Jeez. And we ended up in Rio.
Okay.
De Janeiro.
We got there. Ted said to us, hey, when you get there, there'll be media, there'll be cameras. You must wear your ties and your jackets. Gents, when we got there, no cameras, no nothing. Just us in our bags. And then this gentleman comes and he picks us up with this big car.
Yeah.
And you don't know who the guy is. And now you are trying to be very smart. Hey, talking tactics, you're in Brazil. And this guy is just looking at me and driving. In the meantime, I didn't realize this was the great Professor Neto.
Okay.
One of the guys that revolutionized Brazilian football. So he didn't say much. He must have said, who the hell is this guy talking tactics to me? So we get there and we're in this hotel. And the next day, we're allowed to go and see Rio. I see the beaches, see the beautiful ladies. Oh, this is a nice place, man. We are in heaven. Only to find that 3 days later, they put you in a bus, they take you to the mountains. Jeez. Now there you see nothing but football.
Okay.
Get up in the morning, 7 o'clock up, 8 o'clock on the field, 12 o'clock back, classroom afternoon, classroom evening. So it was a challenge, So that was the opportunity that I'm mentioning now that changed my whole perception of football. I went to a country where football is not just football, it's a religion.
Exactly, yeah.
They tell you there's 3 things God has given them. They say the one is woman, the most beautiful woman in the world. And the other one is this multitude of different cultures. And the third one is football. But the third one becomes the first one. It's number 1, number 2, and number 3. So everything else falls away. So there's no other sport. It's football, 1, 2, and 3, and then the other sports. And I think they've proven it now. 5 World Cup titles. It's not easy to do.
Exactly. Special players also that come out of Brazil.
Absolutely.
Players.
So can you say now, when it comes to Brazilian football and South African football, some people say that there's similarities in it. The way they play, the way we play, the flair. Can you agree to some point to say, okay, you know what? We can match them in some kind of a way.
Yeah, because we have the women.
Yeah, we have the most beautiful ladies too.
We can compare with them.
We can compare. Yeah, definitely. I once, when I studied there, I was a bit arrogant. I looked at their youth, their 10-year-olds, and I said to the professors, if I go back home, I go to the class, I select 15, I can beat you. He said, yeah, you're right. Okay. But the difference is, what do you do with that 10-year-old and what we do is a huge difference. Okay. What they do with a 10-year-old until he becomes 18, we don't do that, to be fair.
Okay.
We don't do it. We expect this talent just to bloom. Talent on its own is never going to happen. And coming back to your question, I think any philosophy is entirely dependent on the characteristics of a player. We don't have players that are as huge as your Nigerians or your Ghanaians or some of the other Africans. So our philosophy should be designed about speed and skill, like the Brazilians.
Okay.
They don't have many huge players. So there's a similarity there. Also, the culture is about music, about good food, about good times, about enjoyment, similarly to what we have.
Yes.
Okay.
So that has to be brought into our football, not to an extent where it affects our football negatively, but positively. So now today, if you look at football, most people are encouraging players to pass. We're not encouraging players to dribble. We're not encouraging players to dominate the ball. The ball is dominating the player. It shouldn't be like this. Brazilians dominate the ball. South Africans dominate the ball. And that shouldn't leave the DNA of our football. For me personally, I want my players to express themselves within the context. So if you do that, then you have something which the Europeans are, then you can compete against them. But if you try to copy them and play this passing game, they call it tiki-taka. And I think sometimes it's a very, very bad concept, if not understood. Because tiki-taka means I pass. So there's never a chance when I challenge a player, throw him out of a structure and and then minus players. I can't minus players if I'm passing side to side or from one end to the other. But if I have the confidence, because today you guys would agree, your two centre backs are your most important playmakers,
Exactly, yeah.
not your two centre midfielders. Yes, they connect the dots, but if you have two centre halves that can initiate, participate, and finish, you have a good thing going for you. Currently, you look at Man City, they're struggling because their two centre halves are not playing.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
True, true.
And that's a huge
Valid
impact.
point.
People are saying they're dropping. No, the two main players are not in the system or in the squad that they're using currently. And you'll see when those players come back, there'll be a huge change. So I think there's a lot of similarities. I think we still have to remain true to ourselves because it's no use trying to copy Brazilian football. We have to use the best of what they have, the best of what Europe have, and adapt it to South African needs, to our culture, to our diet, to our mannerisms. Never change. I always say to my players, don't change your culture. If you are somebody that has a certain culture where you have a cleansing ceremony, don't change that. Don't become European. That makes you unique. Because once you lose that, you're losing your soul. Don't lose your soul. Be an African before anything else. But just bring in those things to assist you. So yeah, I think if we remain true to ourselves, because we're special. I mean, South Africans are very special, where they be in whichever sport. If our powers that be can only invest in the youth, I think we can become world beaters, honestly.
Yes.
True, valid point, coach. So I just want to take you back a bit. So you in Brazil, coming back to Brazil, how does Stars of Africa start about, and when did Kaizer Chiefs come in the picture? Like, what was the journey throughout that?
Yeah, well, look, when I left for Brazil, I was coaching a local team in Mayfair, further down the road. You know, now Mayfair, we're on the top. There's another Mayfair at the bottom.
Yeah.
So play in the local league, the Bosmont League. And that was my life. You know, when I wasn't working, I was working for a company called Metro Cash and Carry head office. So all my spare time was in coaching these kids, transporting them in a weekend with my car, sometimes even 10 or 12 of them in this car to the field, bringing them back, using my house as a clubhouse. And I did that for the love and the passion. And it paid off because ultimately it opened doors to bigger things. So when I got back from Brazil, Transnet sort of approached us.
Okay.
And they had Neil Tovey and Phil Masinga that were going to do coaching around the country, but they were going to go to different areas and spend a day or two. And with Ted and the other guys from the SAFCA, which is South African football coaches, we said, no, guys, you can't do that. You need to remain in an area. You can't go and give a child a ball and 1 or 2 sessions and leave him. What happens after that? So why don't we do what we're doing with the one in Orlando Stadium where Ted was, Chibuku? The kids come every day for the entire year. They train, they go home. And with that project, Ted produced some players. So they said, fine, we chose Alex.
Okay.
And we went into Alex. And, you know, Alex was quite rough, but the people really appreciated us. They respected us. We were protected. We would go into Alex, coach the youngsters. I mean, there's many players, Zita Mofokeng. I mean, there's many players that came out of that project. And a year later, I then spoke to Neil because I was running the Transnet development programs around the country at 25 centers, all over Cape Town, PE, KwaZulu-Natal, players like Oljon Mabizela, Dane Clay, they came from those satellites and they came to the School of Excellence. So we then formed the School of Excellence in 1994.
Jesus, makes sense now why you have the eye for talent.
And yeah, we went there and selected 60 players from all over the country, and we housed them. One of the players that made it to the highest level was Steven Pinar.
Okay.
Oljan Mabizela, Zita. The list is endless of players. Dylan Shepard, I mean, I could go on. And we took these kids at a very young age. Sean Potgieter. These were kids basically at 11, 12 years old that we brought in. And we used to have them train in the morning, go to school, train in the afternoon. So we had a lot of time to develop these kids. And then once this happened, I started a project called the High Performance Center, which was at Max Park.
Okay.
And I had maybe 6 combis that used to go all around within a radius of 50 Ks, bring kids in and train them. Moffat Mafuka, one of them who made it quite at a higher level. And we then continued a similar project to what we had at the school. So now you've got a School of Excellence and you have the high performance center, and then you have this 25
Everything's
centers,
balancing now.
and it's working brilliantly. And we play against Kaiser Chiefs reserves, and we trash them 4-0. But not just beat them 4-0.
Who was the coach then at the reserve side?
I think it was Ryder Mofoke.
Oh, right, I'm okay. So, yeah.
We gave them 4, but in style. And those guys were like, huh? How is this possible, man? So after the game, they came to me and they said, hey, coach. They had the coach that was at the time, what was his name? He was very successful, British coach. Was it Baxter? Not Baxter. So he became the national team coach as well, one of the first. He was a Kaiser Chiefs coach. I forgot his name now. So he came along with them and he says, we're really impressed with what we see.
Okay.
Would you be prepared to meet our chairman? I said, no problem. I'll meet your chairman. So the Monday I went and I met Kaiser and he showed me around. It wasn't a village like it's now. It was just like a farmhouse, with fields. I think what Kaiser has done now is phenomenal. I mean, he's turned us into a world-class project, It was just those like it's a city council
Plots and something.
buildings, just with maybe.
Yeah.
And he said to me, Coach, which of these offices do you want? I said, no, I don't need an office. My office is on the field. Showed me all the trophies like this. I said, sure. I said, Kiza, maybe you got the wrong guy. I'm not a man for trophies. I'm here to develop players. And I think that may be the reason he employed me. Because I said to him, look, I can win you trophies, but I think for me it's more important to develop players. And he said, okay, fine. I said, but I can't do it full time because I'm still working for Transnet. I'll work for Transnet in the afternoons at about 3. I'll come and work here. I said, fine. Went to Transnet, they agreed. Unfortunately, I didn't sign the papers. I just agreed in principle. So for about 2 years, I worked very aggressively on the project. And suddenly, there was 3 or 4 players that got signed. Jabu Pule, Moffat Mafuka, I think it was Betwell Maja. These guys were signed in the first team. And then I was called into Transnet and say, hey, listen, boss, your adventure is over. You have to come back now full time.
Now they see
And guess
something
what?
is working.
Somebody is behind the scenes saying, hey, this guy is living two lives.
What's going on with it?
2 big lives here. You must decide. I said, gents, I said to my boss, I said, look, to be fair, I'm not going to give up Kaiser Chiefs now. I'm going to take a package. So they gave me a package. I paid my house off. I said, fine, now I'll focus on Chiefs. And I ended up at Chiefs. And I joined the first team when Chiefs were almost winning the league. They had basically to beat, I think it was Umtata Bushbucks.
Okay.
And Jabu and who was the other boy, went missing. Mbutu, yes, Mbutu. Hey, these boys, they went. And Chiefs played at Joburg Stadium. We used to play the curtain raiser. And they lost the game. Phew, Mushin was finished. I mean, the man is on the verge of winning the league. And now this happens. So the guys from UJ, which we remember Chiefs at that time was called FAROUK Kaiser Chiefs.
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Which I had Milo.
Yeah, so these guys from UJ then recommended to Mushin, listen, speak to FAROUK. Henry Mashonga and what's his name? The other professor there. They went and they spoke to Chris Fortuin.
Okay.
Spoke to Mushin. Mushin, why don't you get FAROUK to work with you? Says, would he work with me? He says, no, speak to him. So he said, fine. Met with Mushin. We agreed on terms. I said, Coach, as long as you don't shout. These boys, they are from me. If you shout, these boys, they take it personal, Because at that time, Mushin had 8 of my boys. Can you imagine? 8. Not on the bench, not on the grandstands, playing. Isaac Mabotsa, Tlantla Kubeka, starters, Moffat Mafuka, what's his name? Gerald Sibeko. They were starters in the team. They weren't like coming off the bench. No, they were and that was Operation Fighter. So when I went to Chiefs and I worked in the first team as well as work with the academy in the afternoon, I met with Mushin, who was a fantastic person, fantastic human, very selfless. He shared everything. We shared a lot of experiences. His experience he had in Europe, combined to mine in South America, was a good mixture, a good blend.
Yeah.
And we went on and were very successful. I think we won so many trophies during that time. And then later on, he had a difference with management and decided to move on. And he invited me. He says, "Come with me, man." I said, "Hey, coach, where are you taking me now?" Kaiser wasn't happy.
And you comfortable at that
Hey,
time.
Kaiser wasn't happy. Ooh, Kaiser was fuming. Because when I got to Santos, the chairman of Santos, I was with him in the car and the phone was, and then, the speaker phone.
Okay, yeah.
Kaiser was telling him, "How can you do this to me? How can you take FAROUK away from me now? Mushin left now. I've got this young guy's doctor and he's now you're leaving. I needed him here now. What is wrong with you? And I did so much for you." Hey, this guy, this chairman was, "No, it's not me. It's Mushin. Mushin has brought him." Hey, so I was in the middle of this and I ended up there at Santos with Mushin. And then, there was this thing where Mushin had a team that was a little bit old in the tooth. You had Idris Burton, John Bidzo, Kamal Saeed. They were in the 30s, man. And Mushin tried his best and eventually said to the chairman, "Hey, this team of yours, your defense is 400 years old. What must I do?" 400 years old defense. So we played against Kaiser Chiefs and in Cape Town, we drew with them. And we played them a return leg in Rustenburg. And Doctor and them were on the bench and Mushin was, "What these guys? What do they know? These guys?" He was fuming. He was angry still with it.
They're still rookies.
And they bring on John Shoes Masheo. 15 minutes to go. What a player, man. May soul rest in. What a player. Guys, we always talk about great players, but that boy was special. Whoa. I get goosebumps. I was fortunate when I was a Chiefs, I was with Ace Ntsulang, one of the greatest, Dr. Kumar. And then Shoes Masheo comes on board from Europe. I mean, I think one of the most underrated players. People speak of him fondly, but they don't realize how great he was. To play for a top team, I think it was Galatasaray or somebody played for.
Yeah, in Turkey.
Turkey, some big names. You don't just play there. Because football there is huge, eh? And he comes, he scores the goal. Mushin was finished. So eventually Mushin left on his own. He told these guys, because the chairman came and told him about, "Hey, my team." He says, "Your team? Yeah, take your team." Now I'm sitting there, guys, with my family in Cape Town. What do I do? I said, "Coach." I went to Mushin, "Coach." He said, "No, go ahead." Mushin was that type of person. He's always promoting people. He's always trying to better somebody else. It wasn't like, "Okay, I'm leaving, you must leave. I came here." He said, "No, you continue. You brought your family, you continue." And guys, I managed to turn the team around with Bobby Solomon's coming on board. The two of us worked. We won the ABSA Cup. We beat Ajax with Gordon Ingerson in the final. We took the team out of relegation. And then the chairman came there to Cape Town with his wife. "FAROUK, did you sell your house?" "No, chairman." "I haven't sold my house. You have to come back. You don't say no to Kaiser when he comes." You can't say no.
You got to respect him, eh?
No. I got a lot of respect for that man. I mean, that man put me on the map when he comes. Yes, of course, we have talent, but without a platform, you guys know, you are nothing.
Have to put someone.
So I think I have a lot to thank him for. Obviously, I thank God and I thank people like Mushin, like Kaiser, who really gave me that opportunity to showcase what I could do. Coming back, I'm back with my old mentor, Dumitru, the professor.
Oh, Motaung. Genius.
And he said to me, "FAROUK, you see, I wanted you back. I wanted you back." I said, "Okay, Jim. Okay, Professor, I'm here now." So the two of us, I think we did extremely well. We won the league again. We won the league twice with him once, and then he was there before that. And then I left when the German entourage came.
And I
just didn't have. There was no chemistry, and no disrespect intended. I think he's a good coach, but what I had been brought up with,
you don't play aeroplane.
Eh?
You don't play aeroplane.
No.
It's
very difficult. People would say, "What's the difference?" There is a subtle difference.
Yeah.
If you look currently at top clubs, they import some of the best talent from Africa and South America.
Yeah.
To enrich their team. I mean, currently you look at Real Madrid. I think they have 3 now. 3 Brazilians.
Yeah.
Barcelona, the one that they have now, he's turned the team around.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
so every team there's that common denominator. So I think as South Africans we also have that ability. I mean, if you look at Percy Tau, I think he should have made it if he had been in a development. You know, he went at a stage where I don't think he was physically, mentally ready for that level. You know, when he went to England,
Yeah.
and no fault of his. I think he's a superb talent. You know, today when you're doing research, you're realizing development doesn't even start at 12 years old. It starts as young as 2. Now you guys will say, "Huh, coach?" But yes, that's when your motor skills, or your I would call it your uh, patterns
Okay.
of play start. You know, your basic movement and your fine motor skills develop much quicker. So when you get to school, already you have a base. We don't have that because of the fact that now there's no more physical education at school. So that player comes to you, he's completely raw. You know, his motor skills haven't been developed. So you've got to teach him how to run, to jump, to turn. And people say, but we all know how to jump and turn. No, there's a difference with the athlete. So yes, we get back, and then I resign from Chiefs, and I get a call from Sundowns, and Gordon is there, and I go and work with him. And it was a good stay at Sundowns. Well-paid job. Sure, Patrice does look after his people. I mean, when he walks into that change room, guys, with his accountant, those days he used to walk in because it was just a team that he had purchased. And Jose Ferreira was his accountant, the guy who took over at Super Sport.
Okay.
And he says loud, Jose, what's the bonus? Win bonus. And we're winning, guys. Hey, Sundowns was winning those days. Sundowns was winning.
And which year was this?
Moriri, all of those guys, they were buzzing. It was, I think it was 2004, 5, after I left Chiefs. Immediately after I left Chiefs. And Jose say, 3,000 win bonus. I said, no. Give them 10.
At that time, coach.
Sometimes 15. That time, you know what was 10,000 a win? You get 40 to 50,000 win bonus. And when you ask your accountant to check, did they take off tax? No. He pays the tax. So you get clean, 50K before you. And 50K those days, I'm talking 2000, was a lot of money.
A lot of money, coach.
And now, as things go, there's Stars of Africa thing pops up from out of the blue. My partner, who's now my partner, he has this dream. He wants to. He's also from Brazil, and I coached him at a younger age. And he says, I want to start an academy. I give him advice, and then he meets up with a guy from Helsingborg. That's where May ended up.
Okay.
This guy came to sign Siyabonga Nkosi. He came to sign. And you know, as you find, Europeans are very cold people. So Nadim brings him to my house, and he sits like we're sitting. No, we're trying to chat. You know, South Africans are warm people. We like to talk. We like to make. And now you're talking to this guy, and he's looking at you like this. Hey, he's not saying a word. I'm saying, yo, I'm talking football, man. I love talking football. But this man, he's a technical director, very well-known guy, very knowledgeable. He's saying nothing. Hey, I said, okay. After the conversation, cheers, guys. I went to Rustenburg to watch Steve Compella's under 23s. Hey, I get a phone call. Guess who's on the other side?
Who's that?
The same guy. He's fuming. Coach, we must talk. What happened? Mushin, Nadim says, Kuskuru and them played a friendly against Wits, and they killed Wits.
Now he sees
this man is now like, hey, I'm sitting here on a gold mine.
It's just not a talk.
Guru, all of these guys. He changed his whole. You know what? He ended up not signing Siyabonga. He adopted the academy. But now comes the punchline. You have to leave Sundowns if we adopt. Because if you are not there,
needs to be a full-time
yeah.
now.
Went back to the wife. Hey, big
security.
Bonus alone. Now what to do? Hey, you got to make a decision of a lifetime. I said, God will tell me. Hey, he just gave me that to say, hey, go with this thing. Zero income. From more than 120, zero. Big sacrifice. But it was now something that I always dreamt of starting.
Okay.
And we only had 12 players. Mushin was the 12th man, and he was too small to play. No subs. 2 keepers, 10. Forced to put Mushin in. And now we're playing not Castle, Vodacom. We're playing fully grown men, some of them former pros. And we first year we struggled, we managed to stay with relegation, and then following year it just grew. So that's how my journey took me to Stars of Africa. And it took a number of years before Tokelo signed for Bournemouth that the academy was able to get some income. So at first, you know best. We lived in that house. We
Yeah.
put mattresses. We had steel tables. We had somebody cooking.
Eish.
So when we were
Humble
doing
times.
renovations, there was no doors. No TV, small TV like this, black and white. What could we do?
Exactly. So I want to go back now to your coaching days at Kaizer Chiefs. I know that you won the league on the last day. I'm a huge Pirates fan. I cried that day.
You cried. I can
I remember
imagine.
I remember the league title. It was in a helicopter.
Yes.
You guys were playing at Bloemfontein.
Yes.
Pirates were playing in Johannesburg Stadium. The night before, like, how do you get the players down to say, okay, it's a big game tomorrow? How are you the night before such a big game? Because you lose that game, Pirates, when you take your league title.
Look, there was a culture of winning at Chiefs at the time, and there was a culture of us giving the players the freedom. Both Ted and myself were great believers in allowing players to express themselves without any pressure. We never put pressure on our players. I think every session was like, we're going to have fun. The players look forward to training. So we would never discuss outcomes. We discuss processes. But because we had some great leaders, Brian Baloy, Mabede, Makati, and besides those experienced ones, most of the others were from the academy. So I knew how to motivate them, and then say to them, guys, without putting pressure, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. But I think it must also be told that we had the most prolific goal scorer, Tofo. So when you have a striker like that, half the battle is already won. You're going to give him one or two, he's going to kill you. And that was the story of our season. I think he scored 30-odd goals that season.
Yeah, that's
so,
a lot. Yeah.
When you have, and I think this is the missing link at Kaizer Chiefs at this moment in time. They don't have a prolific goal machine. We had David Khadebe, who wasn't that prolific, but he had a purpose.
But he had an impact.
And his purpose was to always take defenders on a run because he was such a phenomenal athlete, And he would open, as much as people, give so much credit to Tofo. I think a lot should be said about David opening up those doors for him because he would be a decoy. We'd say to him, when we're in possession, make runs in behind, make sure that you stretch the opposition's defense. And all we then do is we find that defense splitting pass to Tofo. And once you use on the ball, you can minus 2 defenders and score. He was phenomenally strong. So I think that was the plus we had. We had the confidence. Notwithstanding that Pirates also had a good team. I think they had the Serbian coach at the time.
Yes.
Costa.
Yeah.
Hey, they were playing good football, but
they were playing good football.
Yeah, they couldn't win anything, yeah.
Costa, we knew from inside information his tactics, his training methodology. He used to train and say to players, no back passes. So in his training, you can play an attack, but never play a back pass. And I think that blended in with the type of players he had.
Okay.
The Leremes and all of those. It was easy for those players to use their skill in a more proactive way.
Yeah.
So you must understand, when you aren't allowed to dump, when you aren't allowed to go backwards or sideways, you become more penetrative.
Yes.
And I think that was what you saw at that time at Pirates. They were dangerous going forward.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to hate Napoleon.
Little Napoleon.
We used to have a great run. Meet Pirates. This bloody guy comes from nowhere. He scores. And he scores when you least expect it. This short guy. He kills you. And they love you the week before. They're kissing you the fence. That time, me and Ted, we standing there by they had those benches with the Asian cloth. Those things they put on the carports.
Okay, yeah.
And we stand, and then we just feel something coming. 2 liter. Meet. What's the bottle? Then we move. 2 liter comes. Hey, before long, we're there in the center line. We have to take another turn to come out. So we think it's over now. We're safe. As the bus leaves, brick, window. People in the media didn't know that. We're under heavy pressure. Today, it's nice. You lose, people celebrate. The Chiefs lost 4-0. People were singing. In our time, you lose. You don't eat Saturday night. You don't eat breakfast. You're upset. It was really traumatizing. And I think that is missing today, where players don't really feel that bad about losing. After we lose, shower,
Instagram,
slap on the nice
Gucci.
clothes. Hey guys, where are we going to party? There's no party that time. The guys are upset. They want to go home. They want to
passion.
sleep. The passion. Because to wear that shirt
Yeah,
meant something, you know.
yeah. Not
I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything to the players these days, but I think players these days don't show the same passion.
okay.
That same, I think that has to be instilled, whether they signed or whether they come from the academy. You must instill that desire and passion to know that you are not in an ordinary team. This is an institution.
Okay.
You know, to play for Kaiser Chiefs, Orlando Pirates is huge. I'm not mentioning Sundowns, no disrespect intended. I think they're getting there.
Okay.
Sundowns is getting there. A big club, don't get me wrong. But I think if you look at the history of these other two teams and the support that they garner, they're huge. They're very huge. And it's good to see how Sundowns is now both, you know, putting in a lot of resources. And I think Chiefs this year is trying. For me, Pirates as well. I got my boys there, my two boys, Masangwane and Cabello. That's the salt in the soup. You must tell your fans. Take the salt out. Those are salt in the soup.
No,
That's special.
No, they are special. I wanted to know now, when it comes to you, coached also Scarangoves, right?
Yes.
How do you tell him? Because there was times when Chiefs were losing, but he would still do skill, and a lot of people at that time were okay with it. So how do you coach a player even when you're losing? Carry on with the way you play. You're gonna create something.
And just on top of that, coach, why is it a problem now for a player to just express himself? I mean, why do you want to change players?
I think we're becoming very stereotypical in the sense that when Neymar does those skills, we all applaud it. But if Tito does it, then we say, what stupid things is this guy doing? But not realizing that in that moment, he's manipulating the tempo of the game. He's also now getting his teammates to be more structured in the approach. So sometimes you need that moment of brilliance. You just let everybody stand and say, hey, what's happening here? I have a player now, KG. It's phenomenal. KG takes the ball when he attacks, and he's only 16. He puts it over your head like this, and he goes. Now imagine if I say to KG, don't do that. I'm killing him, because that's what he does well, as long as he does it in a way where it benefits the team. So I think to answer your question about Skara, we realized that Skara is more dangerous coming from an unmarked position. So we never used to play. I think other coaches tended to play him down the middle. We said, no, we play him wide, coming inside. Because when he's wide, he's not getting much attention. But the minute he comes inside and he does those step overs and that, now he keeps you guessing as a defender. If you go in too quick, he's going to leave you for dead. You understand?
Yeah.
And what people didn't understand is Skara is that type of a player. The minute you give him instructions, you kill him. He stops playing, because now he's going to try to do what you want rather than what he's good at. So instead of doing that, you allow that natural talent to flow by giving him the confidence that, listen, Skara, take them on. Take them on. We have so-and-so in the midfield. We've got Tinash. Tinash will look after you. He's your security guard. When you lose it, he's there. And Tinash could read it well. He knows when Skara is on the ball, he's close by in case Skara loses possession. So it wasn't like we just allowed Skara to do as he pleased. We always had what they call today rest defense. Or rest defense was well structured. So even when you win the ball, so we could give Skara that freedom. Remember, if you look at Tofo not playing when we played against Supersport, that was a very important game leading up to the final. If we had lost that game, or drawn that game, we would have been out of contention, because when we look at the log, at some stage you guys were 9 points ahead.
Yeah.
So it was catch-up time. And Skara, in that game, scored the only goal coming from the left side, without Tofo on the field, which was a big plus for us. So it wasn't just having good players. It was making players understand the philosophy and making players understand that we are behind you. Win or lose, we are behind you. So when you remove pressure like that, a player like Skara won the best player at Chiefs that year.
Yeah.
He was player of the season. And yet, the following season, when the other coaches came, they said he was surplus to requirements. They couldn't, they said the skill that he had wasn't a skill that he used in a positive manner. How come you're a player one season, best player, and you are so instrumental in the next season? So I think when European coaches come, they must respect our culture. You find in Brazil, the first one would have been the Real Madrid coach if he had taken the job for the national first ever. They don't often bring foreign coaches in because they're scared They don't want to dilute.
Change the
Okay, yes,
culture, yeah.
exactly. The way they're playing that. Okay. No, that's interesting. And then I want to know now, Shuffle. Shuffle, you developed Shuffle, obviously. Like on the pitch, how good was Shuffle?
True.
What good was Shuffle on the pitch?
You know, gentlemen, we are so blessed with raw talent like Shuffle, like Skara, like many other players. It's how we utilize that talent. Similarly, when Ace and I were in the academy and we inherited Shuffle, Shuffle had a lot of issues at the time as well that you had to take care of, his background, etc. But when you show a player like that love and understanding, you'll find that player always first at training. Shuffle was always first at training, last to leave.
Okay.
Always did extra. Shuffle never gave us discipline while he was with us. What happened outside, okay, that's beyond our control as coaches. But there was a time when I went to do my advanced courses in Brazil, and I had left Ace with the team. And they played against a team from Alex, and they drew with this team. And we got back, we discussed, so now we're going to play away against the same team. And myself, Ace, and Screamer, we're sitting in Alex on the bench, and there's a fence behind us. You know, those fields, they're not so big, so the fence is just behind. We're sitting here on the line almost. And that particular, look, Shuffle was never a player that I gave any tactical instruction to.
Okay.
I would say to Shuffle that you have a free role. As long as my structure around you is organized, you have a free role. And he would know exactly what to do. So there wasn't much you could tell Shuffle to do, other than give him the confidence.
Okay.
And that day, gentlemen, I saw somebody dribbling people in numbers. Number 8, number 6. I saw it with my eyes. I couldn't believe it. I just sat there. And then I saw suddenly I saw a defender going past here. Shuffle was on the line. And then before he looked, he slide tackle, he was in the fence. And me and Ace are saying, yo, coach, today we have to be careful. We're going to get slide tackled here. And that's the day when I saw the true potential of this boy called Jabu Pule. Phew. Frightening. When you have talent like that, you ask the question, why isn't it that we have already at least been to the semifinals of a World Cup? When you got raw talent like this, it shows somewhere we got it wrong. I mean, he was not the only one that had it. You had Scapi Maladzi, you had Junior Kani. What talent?
Skills,
Junior. And you know, what people forget is, that is what people in South Africa pay to see. If you look now at Mofokeng at Pirates, people pay to see that talent.
Exactly.
If you look at some of the talent, I mean, I watch Pirates often because I like the football. Doesn't mean I'm a fan of this. I like Sundowns, but it's because of the product that they deliver.
True.
So, you know, I think more clubs need to subscribe to this free-flowing football that's easy on the eye, but also that brings the results. I'm not a believer that you must play a sort of a, you know, like the tournaments in the Kasi where the guy sleeps on the ground like this. No. That's extreme. No, that's a different. The guy stands and waves it. No, not that extreme. You know, get a balance between the two.
Okay, yes.
And I think we're going to fill those seats because the big challenge is our stadiums are empty. And the thing is, we blaming television. I don't think it's television.
No, it's not television.
I think if you know, in those days when we played, we had fans coming in. There was television, but we still had decent crowds.
Original numbers.
You know, people used to leave work sometimes in the evening, buy the quarter with the chips and the polonies, and they come to the stadium and they have an outing.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and it's not only derbies. I'm talking all around. I mean, wherever we went, we had good crowds. What has changed is maybe the entertainment value.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've got a player there. He fills up Orlando Stadium. We can say Tito. Only one. Him alone, he fills up the stadium. So what do you think of the whole thing? He fills it up, guy. But 80%, 80% of the fans that go.
You see, he's talking about my son, so I'm happy. I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you. He's filling the stadium. Well done.
80% of the fans, they go to see him, the president Abatuke.
No, that's true.
So what's your take on the whole Jomo thing when he's complaining about the whole jersey number 10 and with Tito playing similar to the way he played back in the days?
You see, sometimes I think we make a big mistake to compare the Jomo era to today. Okay. You must understand that the game has evolved from a physiological perspective. Today, players are much, much physically refined, etc. The thing that is missing today, that was there during the time of Jomo and them, was the technical excellence. And the technical excellence they developed basically by playing small-sided games, playing with tennis balls. So they refined the skills. There's the skills that I spoke about, the technical excellence, which is lacking in today's football. But in saying that, the game has become very much more dynamic now.
Okay.
The big question is, players from those days, would they be able to survive in today's game the way they did then? Because the game those days, Jomo could stand on the ball and stop, and nobody would go near him. There was no aggressive pressing system. Today, everybody's doing the pressing. You don't have space, you don't have time. Players can run between 12 and 13 kilometers. So you've got to take that into account because it does affect the way the game was played. But coming back to the comparison, I believe Jomo is a wonderful player. He's a legend. He's somebody that we respect greatly. But I think people like him should encourage the likes of Tito.
Exactly my point. Also.
And also give him the courage to say, listen, young man, players like you. I mean, the goal he scored for Bafana.
I mean, that's 10. Come on.
You know those shoes, those big ones. They're calling what those boots? What's those boots they wear? I mean, those yellow.
The Timberlands.
Yeah, no, not Timberlands. The other ones, just so plasticky. What? No, not gumboots. Bellingham's or what's it? Bellingham something.
Palladium.
Palladium.
Oh,
Palladium. That's right. We used to play off season. We used to play indoor. We had a team in the indoor. So Tito didn't have indoor boots. He used to come with those Palladiums. Yeah. Hey, when you see a guy with Palladiums dribbling people, you stand there and you laugh.
What's going on?
He used to kill people. I sat there watching. I used to laugh to say, this guy hasn't got the right footwear, but look what's he doing. With those Palladiums, he was killing people, scoring goals. To an extent, they won the futsal league.
Ooh, okay.
And they were outdoor players. But the skill was just phenomenal. You know? So when he did that skill where he takes the ball over the head, I looked at the video. I got a lot of footage. I said, Tito did that 1,000 times before. It's not something new. He did that in the academy.
It's in his DNA.
I mean, at the Fiat Stadium, he scored a cracker from like over the halfway line. I mean, people are still going to watch the best of Tito. We've seen the best, even though it wasn't at the PSL level. But at academy level, Tito, the likes of Tito, Luther Singh, Pule Maritsani.
Another shuffle.
When you go, we train the whole week hard. When you go the weekend, you just chill and you enjoy. This is football. This is football. It makes your life so much more pleasant. All the disappointments, like clubs taking players, not giving us a cent for it, all those things disappear because the joy you get and the fact that these kids are now contributing to their families and the community. That for me is so much more beneficial and rewarding.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, coach, we had one of your players, Motsepe, Jomo.
Yeah.
I think my Casey player right now. That's another one. When you're talking about players that you just go on a weekend and then you just want to watch football.
I think he's born in the wrong country. I think if Jomo was born in another country, he would be playing regularly. Because of the fact that clubs in the PSL are playing for survival, Jomo is a luxury. Jomo is a luxury. You'd prefer to have a guy who's there in the midfield biting than to have a skillful maestro.
Yeah.
You know? Jomo could play in a big club like Pirates and Chiefs very easily because they have the quality around him. Whereas if he plays for a smaller club, it's not so easy. So I feel sorry for him. He's one of those many talented players that were never given their full opportunity to showcase their talent because of the way our game is structured. Our game is about survival, winning at all costs. You go up one season, you don't want to come down. And sometimes not the most skillful players are selected. The most physically strong players, the hardest running players, because you want to survive. So Jomo, what a talent. I mean, sure, frightening when you think about it.
You say that he's not playing and we don't get to get the exposure, you know.
Yeah, he's, you know,
I
think
should be at his peak, right?
Yeah, he should play. I think Jomo should play, and hopefully, I think knowing Larson is a good coach. Once he gets the team stable, I hope and pray that Jomo gets more game time because I think sometimes the coach doesn't really decide on his own. That's a sad thing.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
Survival.
So it's no use saying that the coach is not playing him. Maybe there's other reasons we're not aware of. You know.
Hey, I see some nice things here. Coach, maybe you can take us through them.
Yeah, these were trophies that May won when he was the best player nominated in Europe, in Sweden. That is from the Engine Regional and National. There's another one here from Orlando Pirates. There's many trophies here from the local leagues we're playing in. So the boys have done very well when it comes to competition. This year, in particular, all the academies have won more than 10 or 12 cups, especially in the what's his name league, the A leagues, which is the championship leagues.
Yeah.
They've won the leagues in all the different age groups, and I think that is important. However, our focus is not so much on this. This is just a bonus.
Okay.
Because if you focus on this and you neglect the development, that's actually not what we intend doing.
Yeah.
I think also in South Africa, the competition has to be structured.
Okay.
I think you need to have the best against the best. Not that it's not happening. I think in the GDL it is happening, but there's also a lot of teams that are just playing in the league to keep up the numbers. So hopefully in the future, we're going to have SAFA making sure that we have leagues that are on equal basis, where you play
it has to.
you have to qualify to play in those leagues.
Okay. Last question from my side. 5 players, if you have to pick 5 players that come from your hand. Who are your top 5 players?
Sure. Hey, some guys are going to fight with me now. Sure.
It's putting you on the spot.
There's so many. There's so many. I think you have to look at from a achievement perspective. If you're talking, let me not talk about Kaizer Chiefs because then I'll choose 5 there.
Okay.
I also had a few players in Santos that did well, but I can't really claim much to them. My period there was short, 2 years. But at Stars, I've been here for the longest period.
True.
I would say Tokelo May would be the 2 top ones. I think Luther Singh was frighteningly phenomenal. Patrick Masangwani, Cabello's there. Now you asked me for 5, but I got like 20.
The whole
So
list.
okay, I'm just going to mention them all so nobody can point fingers. Then you look at Tefo Mashamaiti. I think he was
one of your alias products.
Yeah,
One of the alias
solid
products.
defender, one of the most intelligent defenders that I think has come out of Stars of Africa. Surprise, Ralani. Hot player, skillful. I mean, at 30 odd, you go to Sundowns and you still make people sit up and take notice.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
At 30 something. You have to be special.
Come on.
And even then, when he played, it was like, this guy should be starting every game.
Exactly.
And Sundowns got the best of the
And we only known him late, because that's the problem where we have also. Like,
he was turned away from Chiefs, you know that?
Oh, yes. I remember he was supposed to go to Chiefs.
No, he was at Chiefs at Academy.
Oh, he was at Chiefs.
And then the current technical director from SAFA, he called me and says, Coach, they're cutting this boy. He's 18, but he's a good player. I said, hey, let me have a look at him, bring it. And he brings this thin guy, man. He's thin, you can see the ribs, man.
Kimberly boy.
And I said, no, let me have an open mind. Let me see him in the field. He's bad luck. The next day we're working in the gym. Hey, this guy's, the evening he comes, he says, Coach, I'm feeling like I'm getting a heart attack. My chest. I said, no, don't worry. This is from the weights. Don't worry, boy. It's fine. And then got used to the training. And then we started playing. We played against Palacio's reserve team from Pirates. We gave them 6 years. This guy, on his own, scored a hat-trick. But what goals he scored? It was like going past 3-4 on his own. Then I said, this boy's talented. And we built on that team. I mean, you had Surprise, you had Tefo, you had May, you had Sibusiso Kumalo, Shenaro.
He could smash the ball, eh?
Left foot. He was a striker. They call him Besuma.
Yes, he's called Besuma. Funny enough, he was a left back.
And I converted him to a left back because I had no left back. I said, boy, you got a nice left foot player. And then we played against this team from Legs of Thunder. He coached this team. What was it called? I think they played in the Vodacom. They were looking to get promotion. They had all of these players, Opa Manisa. They had the guy who's playing now for He was a left back. He played for Pirates. Now he's at this team in Durban. What's it?
Road A.
Hey?
Skakani.
No, short left back. He played for Bafana too, man.
Matlaba.
Matlab. Hey, he had a good team that time. No, he had good players. So he got players from Jesse Queen's Academy, the beautiful team. So the competition was good. But when they came up against us that year, it was fire, eh? I mean, you had quality right, Mambush. That was Mambush. To make those 360s there on the corner. He comes to you, he take you to the corner, hit a 360. Now imagine, now you tell the boy, don't do that. Because when he does the 360, he brings the pass.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, these boys in your foot.
Doing the job.
Most
I
definitely.
don't care. As long as you bring the ball, it's fine. So, my friend, I didn't answer your question. There's more than 5. Hey, 5 is too much. Too little.
There's also Ayanda Nkili because that you import.
Oh, Yanda Nkili. What a player.
Cool, calm,
Cool,
collected.
man. Centre back.
At the
number
back.
6.
Of course.
So the academy has been blessed. I think closer to 30. You look at this boy, Janino Palace. Also, I think Stellenbosch is going to become a huge player.
I think Chiefs should look at that boy.
I think he could make a huge impact in the
Because
midfield.
in the midfield, I think they're struggling a bit.
Very,
Look
very
at that
good.
boy.
So there's been a number of players that have come from this humble academy. It's only now that we've moved from Mayfair to Centon. You know, before we were there at Mayfair. So it means now that we still got to do what we've been doing. We don't need to become,
Yes, it's all God's work.
all
God's
arrogant and proud. There's a lot of good things happening. I'm excited about Jens, about the under 12s I'm building. I'm building a dream team. They played in the tournament this week. They beat Sundowns in that tournament as well. 11-year-olds, but sure.
The boy that you
Talent,
posted
talent.
on social media, what's his name?
Which one?
He's young.
Mpo.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
know
him.
some of the guys are posting. They mustn't post, man. Hey, you kill my work so early. These boys will start flying before.
I say you cooking another one.
No, there's some.
There's
There's some
another
quality.
gem that's
But
good.
you know the good thing is, they play out of the back. There's the twins. The one is a keeper, the centre back. Ball is in the air. He takes it like this, gives it to his brother in the post. No panic. They had a big striker at Sundowns. Aye, no panic. Take the ball from him, play. And this is the culture we want. We want our players to feel free to express themselves.
Exactly.
We want them to play without fear. We want them to be, because you say fear cripples you. When you as a coach are shouting at players, those players are not focusing anymore. In fact, they become so intimidated, they stop playing. But when you encourage these players, I always say to my youth coaches, say less, take notes, find solutions, short and sweet, because players don't want to hear you, especially young ones. Their concentration span is very small, maybe 1 minute. Now you're talking to them 20 minutes about, hey, you must play like this. Hey, the guy lost you after 1 minute. He doesn't listen anymore. He's switched off.
Yeah.
So I want to actually use the experience that I've gained over the years, the knowledge, to empower other coaches. So we're going to use our facility here to bring in a lot of coaches for workshops. We've got a lot of collaboration because a lot of people, we had about 8 coaches from Polokwane. There's no opportunities there, guys.
Yeah, that's true.
So these guys really are searching, and being somebody that was searching for knowledge, I know what it is. So we open our doors and we share.
You should invite us to take content. We must just spread out the word there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will do that now. So we'll connect with you guys. I think your platform is good, and you guys doing a good job, and I wish you the best, guys. Spread the gospel. Bring back our football. Let's reclaim our football.
Exactly.
I'm tired of seeing players at the age of 27, 25, and then you only see him now.
Eish.
While the boy has been playing, he's been bowling, people have been talking about him, but now you only get to see the full potential at the late age. And we expect so much, but at the same time, the development is lacking. There's certain things that are not there. And quality also.
The problem is we're speaking about this, but you become an enemy when you speak out against these things. And when you hear, we're talking about a 23-year-old as a youngster, 22-year-old as a 20 years a youngster, then you ask yourself the question that, hey, hang on, if Lamal is playing at 17 and winning huge tournaments at 17, I mean, you look at this Barca team, there's 7 of them that are under 20.
Exactly.
And then you're asking yourself, sure, there's something we're missing.
Yeah.
We should aspire to that.
Exactly.
And when academies develop players, the one thing they should do is not only develop him technically and physically, but psychologically, because the jump up, when you when you walk into that stadium for Kaizer Chiefs and you're a youngster coming from the academy, it's very traumatic, because it's not easy. There's so much expectation.
So much
And
expectation.
you need people who know how to take that player across the bridge by his hand. And I think that is something that we need to be mindful of.
But also, I think a lot of things are being overlooked. I think on one platform you mentioned in Brazil, you have those madalas. You know?
Yes,
Those are the ones that takes care of the youngsters, that
experience,
grooms the youngsters, and then
100%.
again. But here in this country, once we see you as a madala, hey, stop questioning, eh?
You see, the problem is, and I say this to coaches, our coaching courses has become too theoretical. Now you find a guy, he's just past 10 at 8. Now you're blasting him with all this theory. He's sitting in that class.
There's
The
no
guy's
knowledge.
he's like dizzy, man. Instead, come down to his level. Teach him basic skills. Let him teach the fundamentals. Teach him how to teach the fundamentals. Teach him how to relate to the player. Look for certain traits in the player. Look to see if a player is an introvert, an extrovert. How to make the player confident, Those are fundamentals. So now you find we try to make our courses so confusing to the players that ultimately that knowledge doesn't get passed through. So you get a guy, he's got a wall, and every diploma is on that wall. And you ask yourself now, how many players have you produced? But you've got all the diplomas. I would rather have a guy who produces players and have no diplomas. Because the diploma is not the one, the experience. One thing you can't substitute is experience. Because I studied everywhere. I studied in Brazil, I studied in Europe, I studied locally, I did a pro license here, I did youth pros. I can tell you the biggest amount of knowledge I gained was on the field.
True.
Every day, like now, I'm checking my time. Hey, it's almost time to go. I must go coach. Now they're waiting for me. I look forward to it because I learn more by coaching youngsters and by interacting with them. Because my sessions are not one directional. If you play for me, I'm going to ask you after the session, what did you learn today? And then we discuss. And then May used to run away. He couldn't express himself in English. He hides. Then he disappears. You must tease him. You must tell him that.
I want to tell you.
And then after a while, he got confident. Now he could speak some English. Now you can't stop him.
He talks too much.
Now you can't stop him. I tell you everything now. Those days he used to hide. Coming from Secunda, he couldn't speak properly. And then you give me your feedback. You give me your Skuru also. I couldn't talk 3 words. He just listens to this guy here. Then he repeats. Coach, it improves our technique. It improves our
technique.
But it's good because they become your children. They become your life.
You've been a father to many of them.
I've got so many kids there. But again, I want to emphasize practical learning. Let coaches teach. Let people get involved with schools, adopt schools. Former legends go to schools, coach the youngsters. If we have that machine in motion, we'll have better players in the future. We'll have world-class beaters.
Yeah. So Silas, just in closing, man, just to close it up, I think we can speak the whole day. Coach got stories for days.
Again, I only told you about 10%. I know.
It's only 10%.
I know you guys don't have time.
We still need the 90.
What I can say is thank you for having us. Even coming through here, whatever you've taught the boys, I love it a lot. I think they've greeted me. Every boy just came up to me and stood up and just greeted me with the respect that you're teaching the boys. It's fundamental. Like, I really loved it. I was like, okay, why are these boys doing this? And then Skuru was just like, no, they were taught like this. They respect the elders, they greet. And thank you for that. And keep on producing more South African players.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll do our best. And you guys, all the best to you both. Yeah. I wish you all the best in your venture.
You must tell them it's Super Sport. I'm available.
I must tell them, I must tell them.
Broadcast.
Just give me the CD. I'll be your agent. You have the look. You guys have the look. You have the stuff. And they're looking to employ. So who knows? We may be joking, but you never know.
Let's spread the gospel.
Yeah, and you have the background. I met a guy on the plane, a surgeon, and he knew more about me than I knew about myself. He's been following me to an extent now that he's prepared to buy the academy a combi. And he's so in love. He came to watch him once in Alex.
Oh, okay.
And he's a world-renowned surgeon. He does an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kenny. He just loves stars now. He tapped me like this while I was walking past in the place. Hey, why aren't you a Chiefs? What are you doing? Eventually, I ended up sitting next to the guy. And the guy didn't stop from Durban to Joburg. And we became friends. Yeah. So people really appreciate us, even though people in power don't, normally give us the space we need to spread our gospel and to have an impact. And that's not in our hands. We wish them all the best. But I think, when you die and you die with that knowledge that you haven't shared, I think it's a waste.
Okay.
So I just say that keep up the good work, guys. And hopefully you guys will spread the message.
Okay. Coach, it's just before I let you go, big talking point. Where do you see Bafana direction? And obviously, okay, Sundowns, okay, we can't talk about it. Pirates, they're getting there. They should win the league with the current squad. Kaizer Chiefs, what do you need? They need to improve. What do you think they need to do?
Well, you start with Bafana. I think they're on the right track as far as qualification is concerned. I think we have had that in the past where we qualified. Whether they have enough to have an impact on the big stage is questionable. And that is no fault of the coach or his technical staff. I think he's done a miracle under the circumstances. And I think a lot of accolades should go to Sundowns. Because at one stage, his team consisted of about 7 Sundowns players. Yeah. So the work that Sundowns have done over a period has given this coach the material to build this team. But I think we have to think bigger moving forward. We need to have a bigger base of talent. We need to encourage more development. We need to have a 10-year plan like Belgium did. We don't need to, sit on our laurels now and say, wow, we beat this country or this more countries. Okay, Morocco was a different kettle of fish. That was a huge win.
It was two times.
Yeah, but I think the big thing there is take it into its context. And there was a lot of factors. Our keeper was phenomenal on that day as well. And it's okay because he's meant to do his job. But I'm just saying for us to really have the quality to play on the big stage, we need to do more. As far as Kaizer Chiefs is concerned, I think they've turned things around to some extent. Whether they are going to be contenders, that's a question for a long time to happen in the future, possibly, but not yet.
No, not now.
I think Sundowns and Pirates have a head start. But in saying that, Kaizer Chiefs is not a team that's happy with number 3. They've never been a team to be happy with number 3. And they have to start really working aggressively to become that team to compete for honors. Because it's been the longest time that they haven't won any silverware. And for us to constantly say we're building, doesn't satisfy the multitude of fans.
It's not pick and pay, Coach. Eh? It's not pick and pay. It's an institution. You said
an institution. And the thing is, I'm saying South African football needs a good Kaizer Chiefs, a competitive one.
Chef. Oh.
The chef. Hey, that's a new one, eh?
You the chef.
That's a new one.
The chef. Big cook in this place. Thank you, Coach. I mean, it says it all. It says it all. I mean, we took a toll. We saw everything. I mean, pioneer, legacy, empire. Keep doing it. You're changing lives.
Definitely.
The smallest thing that you're doing could make a huge impact tomorrow.
Yeah, I know the only time I'm going to stop is when they carry me out to my resting place.
Yeah.
That's the time I stop. Because for now, I mean, I'm still very, very active and very motivated and very passionate. I think for every one of us, we're all passionate. That's why we're sitting here talking today, football. And this is for us. I mean, if I've seen what rugby and cricket have achieved, I become happy for them, but I become sad as well. Because I think football is our number one sport, arguably. We should be leading the way.
Okay, can you just look at the camera and say something to our fans, the Kickoff Culture fans?
Kickoff Culture fans, please make sure you watch the show and you subscribe and you do all the necessary things because these guys are going places.
Thank you.
And me, Motaung, I've been calling you.
Have you? I'll tell you. No, I'll give him an instruction.
Thank
you will do
Coach.
it.
Thank you, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Kickoff Culture podcast in the beautiful game. FAROUK, the pioneer, the legend. Here are your flowers, Coach. Thank you very much.